The Samir and Sidra show. That's what it should be called, the Samir and Sidra show, you know? Because I'm Samir, you're Sidra. I mean, I'm Sidra, you're Samir. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hi guys!
Oh, I'm supposed to say assalam?
Duh.
Assalamu alaikum.
Aren't you a Muslim?
Yeah, but...
Hi guys, so I am Sidra and this is...
Sumer.
Can you be serious? What's your name? What's your name?
Samir.
Okay, this video is gonna be really long if you keep poking jokes. It'll be like
That's what you
2
call
hour
me.
long video.
That's what you call me, Samir.
Samer. I don't say Samer. I say
So people in the comments have called you out on it too.
Speaking of comments and people, today we're going to be reacting to your comments in one of the videos that I posted. And no, you cannot make fun of my bees. So I recently posted a video that said, don't ever do this to your children.
People think I spoil my kids because I choose to practice gentle parenting and I communicate with them about their feelings. Is that small?
Why do the action?
I don't know. So yeah, I'm going to be reacting to this video. We generated a lot of comments on that. There were a lot of like feelings. This is a very sensitive topic for me. I always get really triggered and I'm very sensitive to seeing other parents when they do this harsh corporal punishment. Even as simple as like spanking to me is like a big no-no. So we're gonna be going through it. I'm gonna try to keep my composure as best as I can without getting triggered. But yeah, before we dive in, do you want to say something?
Why do you have a British accent all of a sudden?
I don't know. I think I'm a wee bit nervous.
It's not Norwich.
Nervous?
He's switching between like Scottish, British.
I don't know, man. This is a very difficult topic to talk about. For me personally, I don't know about you. Okay guys, so let's start the reaction. The very first comment is, can I just say it's crazy how child abuse is normalized in our ummah? He said ummah. What is ummah, Samir?
Well, Ummah pertains to like the whole Muslim population, all 1.2 billion Muslims all around the world. So I don't think it's fair to say it's normalized in the Muslim Ummah, because unless you've gone to every single community or every single society where Muslims live, I don't think you can generalize that. You can speak about your own community, your own society. Like I know in the South Asian culture for sure, it was very prevalent. It still is prevalent, not as much as before, but it's still there.
You sure about that?
Well, we're not doing it, so
yeah, but
it's
we
not
are
as much as before then, isn't it?
But how, okay, in just in your close circle of people that you know, how many of them actually like, you know, spank or discipline their kids with like a violent or like physical punishments?
With physical punishment?
Yeah.
I don't think any of my friends have done it.
I thought you told me they did.
No, they're saying that if they require it, they'll do it, but they haven't done it yet. So, like the thing is,
that you know of.
So that I know of, but they're not gonna not say it. But the discussion usually goes to, oh, like if the kid does something to deserve it, then they'll do it. But so first of all, I personally don't think there's anything a kid could do that deserves a beating. And that can't be solved by speaking and verbally speaking.
I agree.
First of all. Second of all, their threshold for if the kid deserves it is a lot higher than the threshold that I guess their parents had, right? Because their parents were, oh, you stayed out after 9 o'clock, come over here, right? But for theirs, it's like, oh, you stayed out after 9 o'clock, I told you, and then they would verbally speak to them. So that's what I mean by it's not, it's still prevalent, but it's not as prevalent as it was in our youth, right? The other thing is, I feel like because we're a lot more established in this country, because when our families came, they didn't, and I think that's another comment that someone said, it's a privilege to have gentle parenting.
Yeah,
right? So
I'm gonna get into that one too.
I understand why they're saying that, but I feel like when our parents came, they didn't have time. Like they had to establish themselves, and for them, they took, I guess I would say, easy way or quick way out. Right? What's the quickest way to get your message across? Beat the kid.
Beating.
Right?
Instant obedience is what you get from like beating.
Yeah, in front of you, anyways. Right?
Yeah.
Like there are times where kids who got beat, next time they just be more careful and they do whatever they got beat for.
Yeah.
Like you be home by 9 o'clock. All right, I'm gonna be home by 9 o'clock. But as soon as you go to sleep at 10 or 11, I'm heading out again.
Right.
That's all it was.
Right. So I guess it's fair to say that it's not the entire ummah, and I don't think it's normalized in the entire Muslim ummah. But like he said, it is prevalent in the South Asian community, especially the community that I'm from. It's very, very prevalent. So my husband's background, like his parents is like Gujarati. My parents are Pakistani Punjabi. And he's Canadian, so he was born and raised in Canada. I was born and raised in Pakistan, and then I moved to America and then to Canada.
You're born in Pakistan? They were born in America.
Get out of here. So, especially in Pakistan, you guys, again, I can't generalize, but among my community, beating your children to discipline them was a very common practice. No one blinked an eye to it. Like, I know people from my side that still do it, and they think it's a perfectly normal way to like discipline children, because there's a famous saying, the rod something spoils the kid, or like stuff like that. I have to look up the saying.
Make a saying on the spot.
It is not a makeup. Oh my goodness, you just did not keep.
You're probably thinking about a whole different thing where it's, I think, strike the iron when it's hot or something.
No. Spare the rod and spoil the child. I have heard that exact phrase, but in Urdu, where people have said that if you spare the rod, you're going to spoil the child, which is exactly what I talked about in my video. When I practice gentle parenting, I've had people say in my family, like, you're going to spoil your kid is going to walk all over you because you're not, beating them. They're just going to, like, not listen to you. How are you supposed to discipline? And that's another very common misconception that people have with gentle parenting, that we don't discipline our children, that we just like, oh, they want this, we're like, okay. They want this, we're like, okay. Like, that's not what gentle parenting is. We will go into more details later in the video, exactly what gentle parenting is. Okay, let's go to the next question. Healing from the generational trauma so my kids don't have to. That's what I said in the video. MashaAllah, this is indeed what Islam teaches us. To be patient with everyone and to show mercy. Do you agree that that's what Islam teaches? And the reason I'm asking him if he agrees, because he is a scholar of Islam, guys. He is an alim, and he studied from
Darul Uloom Bury.
Okay, yeah, so he graduated from Darul Uloom Bury, so he is an alim and a scholar of Islam. So when I do have questions about Islam that I am a little bit like, not sure about, I like to verify with him. So.
Verify.
Huh? The Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith that the one who doesn't show mercy won't be shown mercy. Is that true, hadith?
I think it's out of context.
Okay.
I think the hadith is, show mercy and Allah will be merciful to you.
Okay, but can it be used in this context of like disciplining children?
Well, for the children one, there's actual hadith that says, show mercy to your youngers and respect to your elders. So that's straight up like right there, right?
Okay. In another hadith, he sallallahu alaihi wasallam says to someone who was seeing that they don't kiss their children from where this person came, that he cannot place mercy in a heart from where Allah has removed mercy.
I think that was misquoted like crazy, but I think the actual hadith was that Prophet ﷺ was kissing his child, and then someone came to him and he said, oh, you kiss your children? And I think he mentioned that, he's like, I have 5 kids, or I'm not sure if he mentioned the number, but he said, I've never kissed my child. And then that quote is most likely there. I don't remember the actual quote.
Okay. Grew up with Desi parents, and yeah, we laugh about being slapped, hit with slippers, and beaten with clothes hanger when we misbehave, but honestly, that shit really hurts. If your parents hit hard enough, and mine definitely did. I wish my parents had tried to communicate with me as a kid, instead of just rushing to grab the nearest hard object and throwing at me with it, which often left ugly bruises. I'm still trying to recover from that generational trauma, and I'm so relieved to know that your precious girls won't have to suffer the way we suffered. Alhamdulillah, inshallah, they never will.
That sucks, because it usually, like, I don't want to say in this specific person's pattern, but like this specific person's situation, but that's how the pattern continues, right? Like, because now when we have when we bring up our kid and we're saying to her, okay, don't do this, don't do that, and then she just goes ahead and does it anyways, our first, or not, I don't know about hers, but my first instinct is, man, when we were kids, the first thing that used to happen to us is like, we get disciplined, right? Obviously, I'm not going to go ahead and do that, but it's just having that self-control to not do it and to like stop the pattern from going forward. It takes a lot of control.
Yeah, it does, and that thought doesn't even cross my mind, because I'm like still healing from my trauma, and I'm heavily like traumatized from my childhood, and because of that, when Samara does something And yeah, she's a very rebellious kid where we tell her not to do something, she'll look at us, smile, and then do exactly that. And in that moment, all I can think of just being calm and just listening to her and talking to her, and then going and telling her what's right and what's wrong. So I am disciplining her, but not in the physical force. So the physical thought doesn't come to my mind where I'm like, I want to beat her up, and so then she can listen to me.
Yeah, so for me, if I'm getting really angry, then I just remove myself from the situation. I explain to her as well that I'm not able to. What did I say last time? I said
Need a break?
I need a break. I
Yeah.
told her I'm having some feelings and I can't do this right now, so I'm gonna take a break. And then Sudha usually steps in and then deals with it.
Yeah, and I think this stems from, like, you know how this person mentioned that they got smacked with like a chappal or a slipper or whatever. Because I feel like when kids are being rebellious, a lot of parents tend to think that it's a disrespect on their part, like meaning that the kids are being disrespectful to the parents by being rebellious. Like if you tell them pick up that chocolate wrapper and they're like no, they think that the kid is being disrespectful by saying no. So to them that's like a huge insult. So then they're like, let me show you, like, you know,
Let me teach you some respect.
yeah, let me teach you some respect. Let me teach you to think before you come at me and say no. So we don't think of it like that. We don't think when someone else says no to us that she's being disrespectful. In our minds, she's being a kid and she's testing her boundaries.
Yeah, I guess that's a big thing as well to bring up, that kids usually do stuff not because they're conniving and not because they're planning and they're master schemers. It's because they want to see how much they can do before my parents step in and
Yeah.
say no, you can't do that, and how willing and how far they're willing to go to stop me from doing this.
This one person said, I don't remember what I even did to get spanked. They only got spanked once in their life. I just know I was scared of him after that, his or her grandfather. Now this is a very good like point to make, because I remember one time I was just washing the dishes and I think my mom was just angry about something else. She just came and she was like, you're washing the dishes wrong, and patak, she'll just like slap me. It's not funny.
Why is it patak?
It's not funny.
But why make it a
It's
sound
not funny.
effect?
See, this is
Why you
what
make
I-
a sound effect though? It's a serious topic of patak.
But that's exactly how it was. And this is why, look, it's so normalized in our community that like it's a laughing matter
I'm
at
not
this
laughing at the
point.
fact that you got hit. I'm laughing at the sound effect that you made.
Because that's exactly how it was, patak.
No, it doesn't go patak.
I got hit in the back and I'm like, what just happened? I don't even know what I did wrong. So a lot of times when we do end up getting slapped, a lot of people would say that that's abuse. But like in my mom's mind, that wasn't. In her mind, it's discipline. Again, very normalized. Hitting your children is perfectly fine. I don't understand what I was doing and how I was washing the dishes so wrong that I got, you know, attacked for that. So one of the things I mentioned in my video is that people always used to say to me, you were beaten and you turned out fine. Have you heard that? Right? How many people watching this have heard that statement? Not necessarily from their parents, but from other people. You were beaten and you turned out fine.
Not just beaten. It refers to anything. Oh, we did this and you were fine. Oh, this happened and you were fine. It's like you can plug in anything there. Oh, we drove around without a car seat with you,
Yeah.
and you turned out fine.
Yeah.
You survived. You lived. Whatever it is.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. This person said I was never beaten, but I was physically and emotionally neglected by my parents, my mother especially, and it has a profound impact on my development and ability to relate to others well into adulthood. So yeah, let's talk about that. It's not just about physical beating. It's also about emotional abuse
Absence.
and neglect that also causes trauma, like being a passive parent. I tried to talk to my mom about how if I have kids, I would choose to gentle parent, and even told her a bit of the reason why, saying that I want them to do better than me. And it didn't go very well, unfortunately. Inshallah, she'll come around and at least be open to hearing my point of view. I really resonate with this because before I had children, I would tell my mom, I will never hit my children. She'll laugh it off and she's like, okay, we'll see when you have children. Because in her mind, like when I have children and when they're rebellious and disrespectful in her terms, I will end up disciplining them. After I had children, I still had the same stance and I told her, like, Mom, I'm never gonna hit my children. And yeah, right now, after I had children and how my stance still remained the same, did help her understand my point of view. And now she understands it a lot more, that I'm very strict about this. I love you, Mom. Did you have an idea of how you wanted to raise your children before you? I don't know if guys even think about that stuff. About hitting, not hitting. Did you have that?
Oh
like,
yeah, no, the not hitting part was already there.
Yeah, it was already in the back of your mind. You're never gonna hit your child.
Yeah, there's no need to. My belief always was that whatever needs to get done can be done by words, and it doesn't, like, you don't need to beat your kid to get your point across. Because even when I would like teach madrasa and stuff, it's frustrating. Some of the kids wouldn't listen, some of it, but you don't, like, even in madrasa, not Darul, but I'm talking about like when you're younger. We used to get disciplined here and there. Physically, yeah. So then when I used to teach madrasa, obviously I wouldn't do it.
I think that's one of the things I did talk to you about before we got married, about disciplining kids and how would you go about it, and if you would hit your children.
Possibly.
That was a very sensitive topic for me, because I also talked about myself that if you ever lay your hands on me, and by laying hands on me, if he ever hits me, I will leave him on the spot. And then I talked about how his parenting philosophy is with kids. So I think that's a very important thing to have with your future spouse. Ask them, how are they going to discipline children in the future? Because your parenting philosophy, if it doesn't match and align, that can cause a lot of issues in marriage. For alhamdulillah, Samir and we have a very similar parenting approach, almost identical, where we like see eye to eye on everything regarding our kids, and we are a team. So like there's been times when I say no to Mara and she cries and she's like, I'm gonna go ask Dada. So she goes downstairs, asks Dada. And before she even did, I just already messaged her. I'm like, hey, this is what's happening. So then he's like right on spot. He's like, no, what did Mama say? So then we're always a team together.
Yeah, but it's funny when the communication's not there. Like the one time where Samara took the side table, climbed up on it, went into the cupboards, grabbed the markers. So I told Samara that no, you shouldn't do that because it's dangerous, because nobody was around. And if someone's around and you do that, okay, that's fine, because then we can, make sure you're doing a safe environment.
In my defense, I just woke up and my ADHD medicine hadn't kicked in. So my higher functioning executive function was not working. So in my mind, I'm still like...
So Sindra came downstairs and Samara, I'm like, oh, this is what Samara did. I'm killing Sindra, right? And Sindra's like, oh, good job. I'm like, no, what do you mean good job?
And then I thought about it. It's like, I just woke up.
And then I told her, I'm like, look, it's dangerous because this could happen. You're like, oh yeah, you're right. No, Samara, don't do that.
Proud of her for like, using problem solving skills and how creative she was, and she was able to her strength, and she was able to push the side table all the way to the cabinet.
But you missed the point about nobody being around.
The safety. Remember, my executive function was not working. My frontal lobe was not working at that moment.
But like those are like the scenarios where we haven't said the same thing to Samara, but then we'll get on the same page. So right away she said to her, she's like, no, Samara, actually, like, you should be careful and you should be safe, and if you're gonna do this, make sure that somebody is around. But alhamdulillah, we're always on the same page. And then the other thing is, like, sometimes we won't be on the same page, but one of us will compromise. Well, by compromise, mean like we'll either find a middle ground, or one of us will just say, okay, we'll go your way. It's usually not that big a deal. It's not a power struggle between us. One of us will usually, I don't think that we've ever had to come to a decision where neither of us were willing to budge.
Oh my gosh, yes. My parents were always so critical of me and my sister, not to mention spankings were considered fine in my house. Now I suffer from an eating disorder, severe anxiety, depression symptoms, people-pleasing, and perfectionism. I do not have kids, but I plan on practicing gentle parenting when I do.
So that, I don't think that stems only from beating. That's like...
They also mentioned they were critical of her.
Yeah, so that I think that's what it comes down to.
Or him.
Anything, right?
Yeah.
Especially like if you're younger and then your parents are always commenting about your weight. They're also trying to give you like, let's say, a sweet dish after you finish your food. Like, oh, if you finish your fruits, then you'll get like cookies, right? Or you'll get crackers, you'll get whatever it is that you are taught to like, right? But then even like the people-pleasing thing, right? Like it was always, we're taught, oh, do this, do that, right? Like do this for this person. Like, oh, okay, this person is here, go give them a hug, right? Oh, it's going to look bad if you don't give them a hug. So that was like a people-pleasing personality, which is something that I had until Sidra got rid of it from me.
What, the people-pleasing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or never being able to say no to me.
And not being able to say no. So that was another hard thing.
Yeah, I had to teach him to say no. And now I regret it because like... now he says no so much. I'm like, oh man, I should have just let him say yes. Like, last thing I want to talk about is exactly what gentle parenting is. The biggest misconception people have about gentle parenting is the fact that we don't discipline our children. But that's not true. We do discipline Samara. We do say no to her. We do teach her right from wrong. We do set boundaries. We do set clear boundaries. We don't let her get away with everything. So we do everything that discipline requires, because discipline literally means to like teach. to learn a behavior, to teach a behavior. So we do teach her the right and wrong, but without any emotional or physical abuse, without any emotional or physical beatings, or even spanking, or any form of like, because I read in some of the comments, people are saying, oh, if my child touched fire or the stove, I quickly grab their hand and then smack their hand to let them know that that's ow, that that's not okay. Or we wouldn't even go do that. So basically there's no form of hitting whatsoever, there's no form of emotional blackmail whatsoever. We're doing conscious parenting.
I'm still confused about the fire thing.
You never heard that?
No, because like, why would you hit the kid to tell them that this is wrong? You just teach it to them. You just tell them.
It's still hurting. Imagine if I did this with a little kid, man.
You just tell them this is hard. You don't touch it. This is dangerous. And then you keep an eye on them and make sure they don't do it again. I don't understand that.
I don't either.
It's like when she climbed up on the side table. We didn't hit her feet. Like, oh, don't climb up on the side table.
Basically, I think what they're trying to say is...
And she didn't do it after that. She hasn't done it since.
Yeah, no. What they're trying to say is that they save the spanking or the hitting on the hand for very severe, very extreme situations to let the child know that this is bad. Like, I think another example that I read was crossing the street. And that's a dangerous situation. Children crossing the street and there's cars coming, and then they pull their child back, they hit them on the hand again to tell them this is no behavior. Like, this is from a child who can't talk and who can't speak and who can't communicate with you just yet. So we're thinking toddlers, okay? But I'm just letting you know, these are some of the examples that people have justified hitting or spanking, or even simple hit on the hand, not to leave any bruises, but mine's still hurting, but just doing a simple tap like that to let them know that, hey, this behavior is not okay. In both of our books, why even resort to that? Why even hit them on the hand to let them know? I think this one Reddit user, which traumatizes me, that my kid bit me, so I bit him back to show him that how much it hurts. And then the person's like, oh, my kid never did it again. So it's a win-win. And I'm just thinking in my head, like, what?
Samara
bit us, pulled my hair. Let me just start pulling Sumaya and Sophia. Sumaya loves pulling hair right now. Let me just pull her hair and show her, like, how much it hurts. Like, they don't understand.
But that's the thing, right? People want instant results.
Yeah.
So by hitting your kid, you can get instant results. With Samara, with Sumaya, Sophia, we have to like tell them constantly over and over again, and we do it in like a non-violent tone and like a non-raising voice. Like,
but we're firm. It is a firm voice.
And that's what it means by setting boundaries, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then they learn, okay, we're not supposed to do this. Not because I'm scared what my parents were going to do if I do it.
Yeah.
Then if that's the case, then they're just going to learn how to do it without getting caught. Again, like I said, right? Like if you're not allowed to push your sister down, okay, I'm going to do it in a way where it looks like an accident. And then
or like where you're not looking.
Yeah.
So then you can't really tell. Like right now, Sumaya loves pulling Sophia's hair. What I do every time I see that behavior, I go calmly to her. I pull Sumaya away from Sophia's hair. I grab Sophia because she's the victim in this. I comfort Sophia first. Let her know she's okay, she's safe, mom's here. Then I put Sophia down gently. And then I go to the person who did the abuse, which is Sumaya in this sense, pulling the hair. I calmly talk to Sumaya. I'm like, pulling the hair hurts. And your sister is crying. She doesn't like it. That's her sign. And I'm talking to her. At this point, people have this very big misconception that your little like 2-year-olds or children, like really young year, like Sumaya and Sophia are like, what, 15 months, that they can't understand? The kids are very smart. They understand. I told her, I did this a few times, and the pulling here is getting significantly less and less now. Worse is, if I go over, I hit her hand, I'm like, no, that's not what you do. You're just teaching, like when you hit someone, you're teaching by fear. So they're gonna think that's okay. When you're hitting them and doing this, they're gonna do that to other children. They're gonna do that to their stuffed animal and be like, that's okay.
And just to clarify, when she says I calmly go over, it doesn't mean that she walks over slowly, tiptoeing. She goes over quickly. It's just not getting mad, not getting angry, not in a threatening way. She still runs over, gets Sumaya off Sophia as quickly as possible, but without that like fear factor. Yeah,
without like, I'm not going over like, no, Sumaya, you're not supposed to do that, and running over her and grabbing Sumaya violently and telling her, what's wrong with you? Like, I can't. Like, I go over and I do this whole process. And yes, guys, gentle parenting is very time consuming. So I think that one person who was saying it's a privilege to do it, I don't see it as like, yeah, time consuming, yes, but like
it's a privilege. I don't know.
Because she was saying that, you don't have time to sit down and explain to your child something every single time.
Why don't you have time?
Like,
you have to go on Instagram, you have to go on TikTok, you have to, check your followers, you have to check your
Or do you have to go cook or clean or whatever? I feel like everything else can wait. Your children should come first and they're your priority and their discipline is your priority. If you have time to hit them, you have time to talk to them.
It's not privileged to be kind to your children.
Yeah. And then the person also mentioned, like if you have like disabled children, if you have... that triggered me so much because like I'm like, what do you mean? Like if you have disabled children mentally,
that person can't say that though, because most of the parents that I've seen who have children that are disabled are usually like the most patient and no.
I've seen the other side as well. Because they lose their patience.
Because when I was teaching madrasa, there was one kid who had autism.
Yeah.
Right? And it was like, I didn't know what autism was at that time because I was like young and I didn't really know what it was. I remember that as soon as I found out he had autism, first thing I did was I went and I spoke to like a teacher or someone who was becoming a teacher and asked him, what does this mean? Like, what does it mean that a child has autism and how do you handle the kid? How do you deal with the kid? Like, what do you have to do to like make them comfortable, make them safe? So I spoke to the guy for an hour and he explained like, okay, this is what it is, like this is, and then he explained in brief what to do, right? And it helped because the first day the kid came to class, I'm digressing, but the main thing was like the way his mom talked to this kid, like the way his siblings talked to this kid, the way his dad talked to him, like it was very friendly, very nice. Like
even in front of you.
But.
Like, we don't know what happens behind closed door.
That's true, but that's what I'm saying, right?
I've read some horror stories about, because it's not easy to take care of disabled children.
I'm not denying that it happens or it doesn't happen, sorry. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, I feel like they have a lot of patience, a lot more than normal parents do. They need to have a lot of patience.
They do.
I think generally you can say that parents with disabled children have a lot more patience than parents with non-disabled children, right? So we don't have an excuse to not be patient with our child, because alhamdulillah, like for us, our child is healthy, our child is safe. We're able to get our message across to them easily, in comparison to someone who's not mentally stable or who has kids who aren't mentally fully able, right?
Yeah. The other thing I heard was it's not easy to be gentle with ungentle children or not so gentle children. And to me, that doesn't make sense because children are children. And they're like, I don't know what they mean when they say not gentle children. Like, children who are rebellious, like when I was, right? I was very rebellious, I was very stubborn. For example, a child who's very aggressive. Dealing with them in an aggressive, rebellious, and stubborn way is not gonna, like, 2 negatives don't equal positive, guys. Like, that, 2 wrongs are not gonna make a right. So, for children who are disabled, for children who are not so gentle, they deserve, and I will demand it from you, that you be even more gentle towards them. We could go on and on and on about this subject. We're very passionate parents. There's a lot. If you guys like this, we can definitely do a part 2 where we can go deeper into the discussion. We can share some of the parenting styles that we practice with our children. And go from there.
Revert back to the original Ninja Mommy channel.
Yeah, this was originally a mommy's channel and I wanted to give advice on parenting and mom life, and now I can, right? So yeah, let me know if you guys like these type of really long videos where my husband and I do a sit down and we talk about numerous subjects and topics. We would definitely love to divulge more into that. And the way you guys can let us know if you really enjoyed this is by leaving comments below, letting us know your thoughts, liking and sharing this video. Like, actually watching it to the full really is supportive and helpful for me, so I can continue on. I know a lot of you that watch my channel have not subscribed to it yet, so make sure you hit that subscribe button, guys.
It's like 70%.
Yeah, it was like 50 and now it's 70. That's insane. Come on, guys, subscribe. Okay guys, until next time, my name is Samir and this is Sidra, and we'll see you next time.
Did you do that on purpose?
Yeah. Okay, just kidding. Okay guys, until next time, my name is Sidra.
I'm Samir.
And we will see you in the next segment. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, bye.